first time anyone in Cotter's Bend saw Ray Dunmore dragging a cracked hive box out of his neighbor's burn pile, they didn't ask why. They just shook their heads and kept walking. That was the thing about Ray. People had stopped asking him questions 3 years back, right after his hog operation went under, and took most of his savings with it. Around town, his name had quietly become a kind of shorthand. If a plan sounded shaky, somebody would say, "Don't pull a Ray on us." He knew it. He never argued with it. He just kept hauling boxes. If you like stories about people clawing their way back from rock bottom, hit subscribe now and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from tonight. We read everyone. Cotter's Bend was a farming town of about 900 people, tucked into a bend of the Willamette River, where soybean fields ran up against old-growth timber. Everybody farmed something, and everybody remembered everything, which made it a hard place to fail quietly. Ray had grown up there, taken over his father's 40 acres, and spent a decade building a respectable hog operation before a disease outbreak wiped out his herd in a single brutal winter. He sold off equipment to cover debt, took a job stocking shelves at the co-op, and mostly disappeared from conversation. So when he started collecting dead beehives from anybody who'd give them up, nobody thought it was a comeback. They thought it was one more Ray idea, headed nowhere. He didn't correct them. He just kept asking around, and by the end of that winter, he had close to 30 derelict hives stacked in his equipment barn. Half of them rotted through, most infested with wax moth. His sister asked him outright what he thought he was doing. "Figuring something out," he told her. It wasn't much of an answer, but it was true. What nobody knew was that Ray had spent nights that fall reading everything he could find on beekeeping and eventually driving 40 minutes to see a retired commercial apiarist named Odell Rash, a man with a reputation almost as sharp as Ray's own, minus the failure part. Odell had run over 100 colonies in his working years and didn't warm to strangers easily. He looked Ray over on his porch and said, "Heard you lost a hog farm." "I did," Ray said. "Didn't come here to talk about that." Odell studied him a long moment, then said, "Good. Sit down." Odell taught him the way he taught everything, blunt and without patience for excuses. He showed Ray how a healthy brood pattern reads like handwriting, tight, and even if the queen is strong, scattered and broken. If she's failing, most of these hives didn't die of some big mystery, Odell told him, holding a rotted frame up to the light. They died because somebody got busy and stopped looking. Bees don't fail people. People fail bees. Ray wrote it down in a notebook he started carrying everywhere. His first real test came fast. He requeened one of his salvaged colonies too quickly, and the workers killed her within a day, a costly mistake that cost him weeks of momentum. Odell didn't soften it. "You rushed it," he said. "They need time to learn her scent." Ray rebuilt his approach around patience after that, caging queens properly, waiting the colony out instead of forcing it. By early summer, he had 11 working hives. By August, after learning to catch a swarm cell before it split a colony in half, he had 19. Then came the scare that nearly ended it. One of his strongest hives went sluggish in the space of a week, foragers coming home empty, brood pattern falling apart. He drove straight to Odell's with a frame wrapped in a wet towel, certain he was about to lose everything again. They tested for foul brood first, the disease that could burn down an entire operation. It came back clean. The real problem was a queen past her prime. Ray requeened her carefully this time, and within 10 days, the hive was thriving again. "This is the part nobody tells you," Odell said. "It's not really about the bees. It's about catching trouble early enough to still fix it." That fall, 2 orchard owners who'd struggled with weak fruit set for years came asking whether Ray's bees could work their trees come spring. One of them was Hollis Kaminsky, the same man who'd told half the co-op that Ray's hive collecting was the saddest thing he'd seen in years. 6 weeks after Ray moved 8 hives into Hollis's orchard the following bloom season, Hollis stood under branches so heavy with young apples they needed propping up. He drove over that same afternoon, stood watching Ray patch a hive stand, and finally said, "Didn't think much of what you were doing." "I know," Ray said. Hollis nodded slowly. "Well, glad somebody around here was paying attention." 2 years later, Ray runs over 40 colonies and holds standing pollination contracts with 3 orchards in the valley. People in Cotter's Bend don't say pulling a Ray anymore. Not with any edge to it anyway. What he built wasn't loud or sudden. It was patient, it was earned, and it started with boxes everyone else had already thrown away. If you've ever rebuilt something after everyone counted you out, tell us about it in the comments. We want to hear it. And if this story meant something to you, subscribe so you don't miss the next one.